The Oran's initial encounter with humanity began with an observation log. They had crossed paths with humans on a distant, unclaimed moon in the far reaches of a neutral system. The first impression was far from remarkable. Humans were catalogued as a relatively young species, physically unimposing with no discernible natural defenses or extraordinary abilities. The Oran's initial reports described them as biologically unimpressive, bipedal, soft-skinned, and comparatively weak. Their technology appeared solid but not groundbreaking, clearly not at the same level as the more advanced civilizations in the galaxy. The Oran approached with curiosity but without concern. By all appearances, humans were mid-tier, a species still climbing its way up the galactic ladder, more suited for diplomacy than domination. The galactic database had a habit of ranking species according to their abilities, military strength, intellectual capacity, technological prowess. When humanity entered the broader galactic stage, they were added quietly to this database. Their classification was equally unremarkable, marking them as resourceful but non-threatening. They had a history of conflict on their home planet, Earth, but so did many species. The only note of interest in their profile was their rapid technological progress, particularly in space travel and weapons development over a short period. But this, the Council believed, was to be expected of a fledgling space-faring race. Diplomatically, humanity had been cordial. They engaged with other species in trade, open communication, and scientific exchanges. There was no sign of aggression, and their early alliances suggested that humans were more interested in survival and cooperation than conquest. Other civilizations, seeing little to fear, kept their distance but paid little attention. As far as the database was concerned, humans had been filed away as another of the countless sentient species inhabiting the galaxy, notable only for their potential, not their immediate threat. The Oran's mistake came from this same belief. When they encountered the humans over a moon rich with valuable minerals, they expected a simple territorial dispute, easily managed with a show of force. After all, the humans, while competent, didn't have the numbers or the military hardware to compete. Or so the Oran believed. Negotiations began as a formality, and the Oran felt confident that the humans would concede the territory. Their assumption was based on outdated information. Humans, though clever, had never shown themselves to be exceptional in galactic conflicts. But the Oran miscalculated gravely. The humans, contrary to Oran expectations, had no intention of backing down. The negotiations quickly deteriorated. With little warning, the humans responded, not with diplomacy, but with an unexpected and devastating strike. The humans didn't have the superior firepower of the Oran fleet, but they had precision. Before the Oran realized what was happening, several of their ships were disabled, their communications severed. The humans had employed a level of tactical strategy that the Oran hadn't anticipated, using subterfuge and surgical strikes to incapacitate key assets. Their use of electronic warfare and disruption techniques rendered the Oran's defenses useless. The humans outmaneuvered and outthought them, exploiting their overconfidence, and using guerrilla tactics to overwhelm what should have been a straightforward victory for the Oran. In a matter of days, the Oran forces were forced to retreat, abandoning the mineral-rich moon to the humans. What had begun as a minor conflict became a humiliating defeat for the Oran. A species far superior in size and strength had been outclassed by a weaker but far more cunning opponent. The realization hit hard. Humans were not what they appeared to be. They were something else entirely, a threat that the Oran had failed to anticipate. The Oran, stunned and humiliated, sent an urgent report back to the Galactic Council, detailing the humans' surprising and brutal efficiency. Fear laced the message. The humans had not just won a minor skirmish. They had dismantled the Oran forces with terrifying precision and without hesitation. The tone of the report was one of disbelief and growing alarm. How could a species so outwardly unimposing have defeated them so soundly? Something about the humans didn't fit into the usual mold of galactic conflicts. They had outsmarted the Oran at every turn, exploiting weaknesses with an intelligence and ruthlessness that suggested a predator far more dangerous than previously thought. As the report circulated among the members of the Galactic Council, concern began to grow. The rumors spread quickly, Whispers of how easily the humans had dismantled the Oran fleet, how they had turned a seemingly one-sided conflict into a decisive victory. Other species started to take notice. The humans, who had once been dismissed as a minor species, were now being viewed with increasing suspicion and fear. What else were they hiding behind their seemingly peaceful and cooperative exterior? Could they be preparing for something larger? Yet even with the growing alarm, many in the council were still skeptical. They considered the Oran's defeat an isolated incident, the result of arrogance and poor planning rather than a true display of human strength. To them, humans were still just another species, clever perhaps, but no real threat to the established powers of the galaxy. The council members re-evaluated their stance on humanity but did not yet recognize the full extent of what they were dealing with. For most, the humans were still an enigma, one that had surprised them once but wouldn't pose a long-term problem. But there were those within the council who saw the signs. They remembered the ancient predators that had once stalked the galaxy, species that didn't rely on sheer strength but on intellect, adaptability, and an unyielding will to survive. These members began to watch the humans more closely, suspecting that perhaps the galaxy had underestimated them, and that the real threat was only just beginning to emerge. The holographic report flickers to life before the Galactic Council, casting a dim glow across the chamber. It begins by laying out the cold facts of humanity's evolutionary history. Born on a planet of chaos, humans faced countless existential threats, violent natural disasters, dangerous predators, and the harsh realities of survival. Unlike many species in the galaxy, humans were not born with claws or immense physical strength. Instead, they relied on something far more dangerous: their intelligence. From their earliest days, humans honed their problem-solving abilities, using their minds to craft tools, outwit predators, and most importantly, adapt to the world around them. The report highlights how humans evolved as pack hunters, a crucial point that sets them apart. While many species in the galaxy thrived on individual strength or technological superiority, humans succeeded through teamwork and communication. They hunted in groups, developing intricate strategies that allowed them to take down prey far larger and stronger than themselves. This reliance on cooperation fostered their ability to work together under immense pressure, a skill that would later be used in their military endeavors. The council members shift uncomfortably as they realize the implications. Humans were never meant to be the strongest in a direct confrontation. Instead, they became experts at exploiting the weaknesses of those around them. What makes humans especially dangerous is their evolutionary drive not just to survive but to dominate their environment. From a young age, humans learn to manipulate the world around them, shaping their surroundings to suit their needs rather than adapting passively. This adaptability, coupled with their intelligence, transformed them into apex predators. On Earth, humans had faced off against creatures far more imposing, massive predators and rival hominids, but they thrived where others perished. It wasn't strength that gave them the upper hand, but their relentless pursuit of mastery over every challenge they faced. Even in the absence of a clear physical advantage, they found ways to tilt the odds in their favor. It was this trait, this almost insatiable drive to bend the universe to their will, that made them a species like no other. The report shifts to humanity's history of conflict. While the Council was aware of humans' capacity for warfare, the detailed recounting of their wars leaves the Assembly in an uneasy silence. For humans, war was not an anomaly, not something that arose out of desperation or necessity alone. It was a constant, a shaping force of their evolution. From tribal skirmishes to the cataclysmic world wars of their recent history, humans had turned conflict into an art form. The report delves into the wars that nearly wiped humanity out, the devastating losses they suffered, and the unyielding resolve that brought them back from the brink each time. The Galactic Council listens as the report details how, despite standing on the edge of annihilation more than once, humans emerged stronger. From the ruins of every disaster, humans rebuilt, evolving not just physically or technologically but psychologically. The battles they fought on Earth were not just against each other but against the very concept of extinction. They learned to weaponize everything: ideas, fear, and the mind. Humans understood the importance of psychological manipulation, deception, and most importantly, perseverance. When faced with stronger foes, they did not retreat. Instead, they adapted, finding new ways to win. Their mastery of unconventional warfare, guerrilla tactics, ambushes, and precision strikes, became second nature. This was why the Orin had fallen so easily. As the report continues, a chilling realization spreads through the council. Humans did not just survive their wars, they thrived on them. Conflict shaped their culture, their innovations, and their view of the universe. War was not a last resort but an opportunity for humans to test the limits of their ingenuity. And they had perfected the art of leveraging their weaknesses into strengths. What made humans truly dangerous was not their technology or their military might but their ability to turn any situation into a battlefield, bending circumstances to their advantage, no matter how dire. In the cold expanse of space, these traits took on an even more terrifying form. The report underscores that, unlike many species that reached a certain level of technological advancement and then plateaued, humanity never stopped pushing forward. Their drive for exploration was relentless. They did not merely seek to survive in space, they sought to conquer it. The humans' insatiable curiosity drove them to the most hostile corners of the galaxy, where they adapted to environments that would be fatal to most species. In space, adaptability was the most valuable trait, and humans had perfected it. They developed new technologies, modified their bodies, and crafted strategies that allowed them to thrive where others would falter. What alarmed the Council most was that humans were not bound by the biological limitations that other species faced. They did not rely on brute strength or natural advantages. Instead, they bent nature itself to their will, using their intellect and creativity to overcome challenges that seemed insurmountable. In space, where the harshest conditions prevailed, humans adapted, constantly pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Their willingness to experiment, to evolve, and to risk everything for survival made them a species that could not be easily predicted or controlled. The final section of the report leaves the Council with a sobering thought: humans, despite their outward appearance of diplomacy and cooperation, were the galaxy's ultimate predator. Their strength lay not in their physical form but in their mind, an adaptable, relentless, and cunning mind that sought to dominate everything it encountered. They were not bound by the rules of conventional warfare or diplomacy. They used strategy, manipulation, and sheer willpower to carve out their place in the galaxy. What the Council once mistook for weakness was in fact the greatest threat of all. Humans were not conquerors in the traditional sense. They were something far worse, a species that would stop at nothing to ensure their survival, no matter the cost. The Galactic Council, now fully aware of what humanity was capable of, begins to feel the weight of the decision ahead. To face humans in open conflict would be to fight an enemy that never played by the rules, an enemy that evolved to dominate against all odds. Humanity, it seemed, was not just another species, they were the apex predator of the galaxy. The Galactic Council convenes with a palpable sense of urgency. An emergency meeting is called, its sole agenda centered around the growing threat of humanity. The discovery of humans' predatory nature, and their uncanny ability to turn seemingly insurmountable odds into opportunities for victory has unsettled the galaxy's most powerful species. Fear spreads through the chamber as representatives from various civilizations debate the path forward. Some species demand immediate action. They argue that humans must be contained, their rise halted before they gain any more influence. The idea of such an unpredictable and dangerous species eventually dominating the galaxy is unthinkable to them. These voices call for military action, for sanctions and blockades to cripple humanity's ability to expand. The fear is that if humans are not stopped now, they will eventually spread, their cunning and tenacity making them impossible to control. Others take a more cautious approach. These representatives, though wary of humanity's growing power, understand the risks of provoking such a species. History has shown that when humans are pushed into a corner, they become even more dangerous. The suggestion of engaging humanity in open conflict raises concerns, as no one wants to be responsible for igniting a war that could lead to their own extinction. These more pragmatic voices call for diplomacy, warning that a direct challenge to humanity may have consequences far beyond what the Council can imagine. The debate rages on, But the one thing the Council agrees on is this: humanity, once dismissed as an insignificant, fledgling species, is now one of the most feared powers in the galaxy. They are not to be underestimated again, and the decision of how to handle them weighs heavily on the Assembly. As the Galactic Council deliberates, humanity listens. Aware of the growing paranoia and fear surrounding their species, the humans choose not to escalate the situation with a show of force. Instead, they send a message to the Council. It is neither aggressive nor conciliatory but direct and unyielding. The message, though brief, resonates with a gravity that stops the Council members in their tracks. We are not here to dominate, but we will not be dominated. If you seek conflict, understand this: our survival is not a matter of choice but of instinct. The words ripple through the Council like a shockwave. For some, it feels like a declaration of war. For others, it is a stark reminder of humanity's unwavering resolve. The message is clear: humans will not be pushed, they will not be controlled, and should conflict arise, it will be the galaxy's mistake. The Council, which had expected humans to respond with fear or diplomacy, is instead met with defiance, a defiance born not of arrogance, but of a deep, primal survival instinct that even the most ancient species in the galaxy struggle to comprehend. The tension in the galaxy reaches a breaking point. Unable to ignore the mounting threat, a coalition of the galaxy's most powerful species, those with the greatest military might and the most advanced technology, form a temporary alliance to test humanity's resolve. A coordinated strike is planned against one of humanity's outer colonies, a distant world seen as a vulnerable target. The coalition's forces, vast and overwhelming, descend upon the human colony with a precision that should have assured their victory. Their fleets dwarf the human defenses, and their numbers should have crushed any hope of resistance. But they quickly learn that humans do not fight like other species. Humans do not meet overwhelming force with force, they meet it with strategy, adaptability, and relentless cunning. From the moment the coalition's forces land, the humans begin to dismantle their offensive. They employ guerrilla tactics, refusing to engage the coalition in open battle. Instead, they strike from the shadows, targeting critical infrastructure, cutting off supply lines, and sabotaging communications. The coalition, disoriented and unable to maintain coordination, finds its advantages slipping away. The humans turn the environment itself into a weapon, using the colony's terrain to stage ambushes and traps. Every attempt the coalition makes to regain control is met with precise, calculated resistance. The coalition's leaders, who had expected a swift victory, are forced to watch as their superior numbers and technology are rendered useless. The humans, outgunned and outnumbered, do not falter. They thrive in the chaos, using psychological warfare to further disorient their enemies. False signals, misleading maneuvers, and perfectly timed counterattacks leave the coalition in a state of confusion and desperation. Within days, the once mighty force is in retreat, their mission in abject failure. The humiliation of the coalition is complete. As they flee, the galaxy watches in stunned silence. Humanity's potential has been unleashed, and the galaxy now understands what it means to face the ultimate predator. Humans do not need the strongest ships or the most advanced weapons. Their greatest asset is their ability to outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast any enemy that dares to challenge them. In the aftermath of the battle, a final transmission from the human leaders echoes through the stars, a message not just to the coalition but to the entire galaxy. We never wanted this, but we warned you. Now you know what it means to be prey. The galaxy is left in awe. Humanity, once underestimated and dismissed, has proven itself to be far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. They are not conquerors in the traditional sense, but they are the ultimate survivors, predators who can adapt to any threat, who can turn any weakness into a strength, and who, when pushed, will do whatever it takes to ensure their survival. The Galactic Council, shaken by the events that have unfolded, is forced to reconsider its stance on humanity. No longer is humanity seen as a mere nuisance or a curiosity. They are a force to be reckoned with, a species whose potential knows no bounds. The Council knows now that humanity will never be dominated, and any attempt to do so will end in catastrophe. The galaxy has learned a harsh lesson: Humans are the ultimate predator, not because of their physical prowess or their technology, but because of their mind, their ability to adapt, strategize, and survive against all odds. From this moment on, the galaxy will no longer see humans as just another species. They are something far more terrifying, a species that, once provoked, will stop at nothing to secure their place in the universe.